more than 43 million Americans are now the caregiver for another person. It's usually a family member like a parent or a parent-in-law. But as Fox 5 I-Team's Dana Fowle says, this is a really expensive choice.
Yeah, at some point, Elise, most of us will have to help an elderly friend or relative with care that could be in home or in assisted living. And there's a lot to consider here because I got to tell you, you know this, it's expensive. So let's take a look at this data from caring.com. It's an online caregiver resource, and it says this. Look at that. 18% of caregivers spend out of pocket between $5,000 and nearly $10,000 a year. Still, 10% of you spend upward of almost $20,000 a year. Again, we're talking out-of-pocket expenses here. Now, that's significant, but remember, there are other ways being a caregiver costs you. There is your time, of course, which is money. For some, being a caregiver is a part-time job. For others, it is a full-time job. Look at this. If you do work, 79% of caregivers say in the last year they've missed work, and 31% have missed at least a week of work. So whether we want to talk about it or not, money is an issue. So let's look at 3 ways to cut some of these costs. First, you got to decide what kind of care you really need. There's home care versus home health care. Home care means somebody comes in, makes a meal, perhaps helps at bath time. That's terrific, and that is 20 to 30% less in cost than having someone with some sort of medical background coming in, like a certified nurse's aide. That would be home health care. Now, if you go with an agency, it will cost a little more, but they're also going to give you some security with a background check. Now, if you're thinking your elderly relative needs a facility that's more suitable now for her condition, do this. Check to see if home modification might save you money. You think, wow, that's expensive. But listen, talk to your bank about loans or grants for this sort of thing. It's something to think about before you uproot your loved one and then perhaps end up in the end paying more than you really need to. Finally, talk to the doctor about something called virtual caregiver options. This was new to me. And if it's new to you, let me tell you what it is. It can be done through a phone, a tablet, or a computer. It can provide both companionship as well as help. The elderly person speaks into it. It talks back. It reads the news, reminds them to take medication. But there's a real person on the other end. Also, there's a log of conversations that goes to the family so they know just how grandpa is doing. So it provides care, but it keeps their independence. And as we all know, that's worth $1 million. Elise?
You are so right about that. Dana, what about other resources that are out there?
Ask your physician or a nurse. Ring up the county, the city, find local resources, ring every phone, knock on every door to see if there is assistance out there. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
Good point there. All right, Dana, thanks for the help this morning.